This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All right, Cam. I'll put you into this conversation. William Quigley just sent in a super chat. He says, Big O, they feel they have smart guys on the O-line that can understand the complicated offensive system McDaniel runs. Remember the days they had to dumb down the system because of play sets, because players couldn't pick it up. Yeah, no, I'm with you there. And the conversation, Cam, is, and I'm sure you get it too, hey, where's the right tackle? Where's the left guard? And I kept reminding them. I told everybody a story last year that before Eichenberg went down with the injury, okay, the guys in the building told me he's turning the corner. He's playing well. He's playing better. And then Austin Jackson's another guy. And at least for me, I hadn't seen it yet in Eichenberg. And I told them that too. I said, I don't see it, guys. I haven't seen it from Eichenberg. They swear by it. And then in training camp, I will admit, training camp in the beginning of the preseason, Austin was looking better. But then the high ankle injuries all year long. And what I'm trying to explain to the Dolphin Nation out there is that they need to kind of, recalibrate how they're thinking, because you may not like Austin Jackson. You may not be convinced by Liam Eichenberg, but they're not convinced yet to give up on him. They gave up on Michael Dieter. They gave up on Mike Gesicki. They'll give up on players, and they'll move on from them. But that that coaching staff, there's something about it. They're still in the Eichenberg, Austin Jackson camps. Do you sense the same thing? Is that your same information?
Yeah, I think I told you guys last year, my first significant one-on-one interaction with Mike McDaniel was at the league meetings, and we had a one-on-one that went for NFL Films. And one thing he told me there is that they had high grades in San Francisco on a couple of the recently drafted offensive linemen. And in particular, he was referencing Austin Jackson and Liam Eichenberg. And so this is a staff, a head coach that came in high on them previously. And so for them, they treated them as rookies. This is coming off their rookie year. You got a second-round pick in their minds, a second-round pick in Liam Eichenberg, and a first-round pick in Austin Jackson coming off their rookie seasons. And now we get a chance to mold them going into year two. Now, I have my questions. I definitely think that it's a big risk to go into the offseason without any serious competition for either of those. That's my personal view. I think that is a huge risk. But I think their view is, and I've said this before, they want them to win the job. And so there's a difference. Right. I do think they will bring in a right tackle. But everybody's thought is they're going to bring in this $10 million right tackle who's going to be the surefire starter, no question. A Jalen Ramsey type move, I think, is going to be disappointing. I think what you're going to see is some type of depth / competition signing. Maybe it's a Brandon Shell. Maybe it's a George Fant. Maybe it's a dude none of us have heard of before, like Dan Feeney. This is a guy they signed that's a left guard / center. He's a guy.
He's taking Dieter's spot.
So most likely he'll end up being that swing backup center and left guard. But they'll have him in camp compete with Liam Eichenberg for that left guard spot. But ideally, they want Eichenberg to win that spot. And so if Eichenberg has a terrible camp and is bad, then sure, Feeney could win that job and be the left guard. But in the Dolphins' mind, they'd love for him to be the left guard. Same for Austin Jackson. They may bring in a Brandon Shell or Fant or somebody else and say, hey, compete with this guy. But if everything's equal, they'll give it to Austin Jackson because they want him to win the job. And so they're going to give them every opportunity, but they'll bring in depth / competition to fill in that line. Now, you'll, like a lot of fans and me, will question when we go into week one, is it enough? Do you have enough to protect Tua's blind side? Do you have enough to run the ball better than you did last year where you were 27th in the run game? Those are going to be huge questions, and the Dolphins and their coaching staff are betting on their development of these young players and them staying healthy. They brought in a new O-line coach in Butch Berry, and we talked about him early in the offseason, but he's a guy that McDaniel knows well, and he feels like he can be a better installer of their offensive line scheme than maybe Matt Applebaum was last year. And so you're going to see that, and they're going to give them every chance. But to answer Dolphins' questions, yes, they will bring in a right tackle. It just may not be the big name that you were hoping for.
Yeah, and Horn Dog, the Dolphins are still on board with Liam and Austin because they're under contract. No, these contracts are so deep in. There's no cap hit. There's no. It's
No,
they can they can get out of it. This isn't a like you can't cut X.
no.
Like I told you guys 6 months ago that Byron Jones would get cut. No matter what, he was getting cut this offseason. I told you guys this. And I told you they can't cut X. Next year will be the season that they cut X, and it'll be up to X. If he balls out, maybe he can convince him to keep him. You know what I mean? But he's going to have to ball out because if he doesn't stay in Miami, he has to go somewhere else. The Liam Eichenberg and Austin Jackson contracts are garbage at this point. It's minimal, their cap
Yeah,
hits.
they're all rookie deals. They're all rookie deals. And
Yeah,
so
and there's the
this is
last
this
year
is
of the rookie deal, which is nothing already.
right. This is the thought about Liam and Austin is more that they are really good fits in athleticism for what Mike McDaniel was in the scheme. And so they would fit well if they play up to what their athleticism and drafted talent is. And don't forget, they got Robert Jones in that room as well, who had been playing well at left guard. And so he's probably going to compete in that competition with Liam as well. But like I said, if they were drawing up their offseason, they would say, we want Liam and Austin to play really well in camp, so that's a no-brainer that they are our starting left guard and right tackle. But they'll have their in-house competition with Robert Jones and with Dan Feeney at left guard, and I believe they'll bring in another right tackle to compete with Austin Jackson, and they'll let it play out.
And by the way, I'm also with the most of the Dolphin Nation. I'm not. Those two guys haven't convinced me either. But caveat: in defense of Austin Jackson, and you were there, leading up to the preseason, he was playing the best football I had seen him play. And I know that's not saying much.
I gotta see it in the games, though. I gotta see it in the games. Me personally, I take little stock in offensive linemen's play in off season and training camp. Just me.
Yeah. I know, I get it, but you saw improvement. You saw that he was improving, and even on his one-on-ones, he was actually doing a good job too. Overall, was he perfect? No, he still had his bad moments and all that. That happens. When you play offensive line, you're going to have them. But I was, in his defense, I got to say, I was seeing a better player. Not that he became one, but he was showing signs. As in Eichenberg, I have not seen it. I have not seen it. That one I can't say at all. But they somehow, man, they feel it. All right, so tight end. I am convinced they're getting one in the second or third rounds. Because it's also a very deep tight end draft. Agree or disagree?
I think that would be ideal. I think they probably go into draft saying it would be great to get a tight end early. But the problem with that is they only have 4 picks, and you don't have a first-round pick, so you don't have a control of when these tight ends go. In previous years, you can go trade up to get your guy if it's close. Like, let's say they're picking at 51, and Darnell Washington, for whatever reason, is there at 43. Previous years, they could say, hey, I'll give you a 4th or 5th round pick. Let me go trade up, get my guy. They don't have that luxury here. And so it is a deep tight end class, but the board has to fall the way you want it to fall for you to get your tight end. I think you pigeonhole yourself. You come in and say, I'm going to get a tight end regardless. Because then you might end up drafting a 4th round tight end in the 3rd round, or a 3rd round tight end in the 2nd round, because that's what's available on the board. But yeah, I think they'd love to come out of this with a tight end that could be their tight end 1 of the future. Even if he isn't tight end 1 in year 1, ideally they're tight end 1 of the future, a guy who can be a dual threat as a receiver and a blocker, unlike Mike Gesicki. And so, yeah, I think they'd love to get a tight end. I think they'd love to get a little bit more depth on the offensive line and defensive lines. They love to get a little bit more on that back 7 of the defensive group, whether it's at corner, safety, or linebacker. And then it would be nice to get a running back too. But I just mentioned 5 or 6 spots, and they got 4 picks, and so something's got to go.
Well, running back I could see in the 6th or 7th round. That's typical of not in the 2nd or 3rd. Yeah, I think you nailed it. In the 2nd and 3rd, it's going to be tight end, right tackle, because a right tackle can be found in the 2nd round. A lot of right tackles are found in the 2nd round, and the tight end is so deep that you might get one in the 3rd. So you might get those 2, or a defensive back like you talked about. What I don't, or maybe even linebacker. But
Right.
what I don't expect is a running back to be taken in that second or third round because I
Yeah.
think I
They've
think
never valued that position to draft it in day
no,
and
no, and
age.
they made their bed. They made
Right.
their bed, dude. They brought all three guys back, and they brought
Right.
Gaskin back, who I think
Right.
is more
They're
of an insurance policy than anything else.
right,
Because
because you've got
really,
two guys. Yeah, you got two guys that got injured a lot in the past, so you need that. But the reality is, all of those guys are on essentially 1 year deals. All of them
yeah,
only have guarantees in 1 year, and so there's still no running back of the future. Which you may not need that guy, but I don't think that precludes them from taking a running back. Maybe the lack of draft picks is what precludes them from
right.
taking a running
No,
back.
no, no.
And and,
That's
and
exactly
and
it.
although we are locked into them at their positions because they have 4 picks, it wouldn't shock me at all if they're trade back from that second or third round pick to get a couple more later round picks to give them a little bit more depth. So that may take you out of maybe your 51 spot, or your, I don't even know where their second pick is, 80 something. It may take you out of that if you need to trade
84,
back. Yeah, if you need to
84,
trade back 10,
51 and 80.
15, 10, 15 spots to pick up an extra fifth or sixth round pick to get you a little bit more, I can see them doing that.
All right, I'm going to ask you something and put you in a terrible position because nobody has that kind of math skills. Um, the convoluted compensatory crap. Uh, I don't I don't know. They're asking me about Gesicki. I don't think you even get a pick for Gesicki because you were more active than you were in losing players. Plus, Gesicki didn't sign a monster deal. He only signed a 1 year deal, which also takes away from it. I don't know exactly the whole formula. It's a convoluted formula. But what's your best guess for
Yeah,
the
so my
Gesicki?
best guess is that the Dolphins don't get any comp picks, and this is why I will say it. The way the comp pick formula goes, it's only based on undrafted free agents you sign and lose that sign with other teams over a certain dollar amount. And so you look at guys who left the Dolphins who will qualify. You're probably looking at Mike Gesicki, who's probably like in that fifth, sixth, seventh round competition range, not a third or fourth, and then a Landon Roberts, who's probably in that sixth or seventh compensation round. But then you also signed a David Long, who's going to cancel out one of those guys as well. You signed a who else did they sign that was outside of their room? Sean Elliott probably won't count. I'm trying to think who else did they sign that is a UFA. The tight end Eric Saulberg probably won't count. He was a low money guy. Mike White. Mike White's probably going to cancel out one of the other ones as well. So that's two free agents right there you've already signed that's canceled out the two you've lost. And so unless Teddy Bridgewater signs for a deal that's like more than $4 million, or I don't know who else is out in the market that's a free agent from the Dolphins that would, probably no one else. Unless Teddy Bridgewater signs a $4+ million deal, I think the Dolphins are in the no comp pick section.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at, and I wasn't surprised that he had to sign a prove it deal also for Gesicki because of what's happened to him the last couple of years. We'll see how that one works out. The Patriots are the redheaded stepchild now of the division, right?
Absolutely. I think I said this. I don't know if I said this earlier on the show. I know I said it on TV, but I had a coach from a different conference tell me, when's the last time the Patriots were the clear last place team in the division with the worst quarterback in the division?
Free
And
Brady, baby.
yeah,
Free
and I looked it up. It was they finished last in 2000, and it was Drew Bledsoe as their quarterback, his last year as the quarterback, and Bill Belichick's first year as Patriots head coach. That's the last time they finished last in the division, 23 years ago. And if you put it up this year, it's hard not to pick them as fourth right now. Now it's still early in the offseason, and you got to play the games. But the Jets got considerably better. The Dolphins got considerably better. And while the Bills didn't get much better, they have been the kings of the division the last 2 years. And so the Patriots made a lot of swap outs. They swapped out Jacoby Myers for Juju Smith-Schuster. They swapped out Jonnu Smith for Mike Gesicki. But then they also lost Devin McCourty, who's a big player for them. So I just don't think the Patriots got a lot better. I mean, Bill O'Brien as their OC should help over Matt Patricia and Joe Judge. And so they should be better offensively, but they were one of the worst offenses in football last year. So going from bad to average, I don't think raises their meter up a ton. It's going to be the best division in football for me in the AFC East. I don't think the Patriots will be bad enough that they're a top 5 or even top 10 pick. But I don't think they compete with the other three at the top of the division at this point.
Yeah, they still have a good defense, so that's going to keep them in games. They still can play some defense. All right, the Dolphins free agency run, is it drying out now? Is the Wilkins stuff going to be settled in June when they get the Byron Jones money? Is that kind of the way the plan may end up working out?
Yeah, we're like in wave 3 of free agency at this point, and so I think you'll see a lot of one-year deals, one-year prove-it deals for lower salaries than players want to sign. And so the Dolphins will probably still add a couple more guys. Like I mentioned, I still think they'll get a right tackle out of there. You could see them add a little
Brandon Shell, bro.
Yeah,
Brandon Shell. What the F is going on?
Like I said, sometimes you have a number.
Whoa. We lost Cam. He hooks. There he is. He's trying to hook up again. There we go. All right.
Sorry. When I get a call, it screws me up. Yeah.
What the hell is up?
They can sign Brandon Shell today, and it wouldn't surprise me. But a lot of times teams and players have numbers. And so my guess is they aren't close with the number. It already be done. Maybe the Dolphins are offering him $1 million or $2 million, and Brandon Shell wants $5 million. You know, it could be something as simple as that, and they're saying, hey, we'll just wait it out. I'm just speculating. I don't know what the numbers are, but I'm saying a lot of times that's what the differences are here, where, hey, I want you, but I want you for a 1 year, $2 million deal. And he's like, well, I want a 1 year, $5 million deal. Well, We'll wait and see if you get that $5 million. If not, we'll be right here for $2 million. And sometimes somebody budgets. Maybe the Dolphins go up to $3 million and we got a deal, or Shell comes down to 2 or 3 and says, hey, we got a deal. And so my guess is that's probably what's going on in there. And they're also looking at the other guys in the market, a George Fan or someone else, and there's the same conversations. And so, yeah, I think they'll add some like 2 or 3 other depth/competition signings. Like I said, maybe it's a right tackle, maybe it's another linebacker, maybe it's somebody else in the defensive back room. They haven't added anybody on the defensive line. I think they probably want to add at least one more depth piece there as well. And wide receiver too. Surprisingly, they're getting a little bit light and wide receiver depth. You know, so they brought back River Craycraft, but I think they'd like to add in.
It's Azukama time, baby. It's Azukama time.
That's true. You got to trust them. You got to trust them because you got Braxton Berrios who's going to. You got to be. Braxton Berrios is going to be on the team. He's going to be competing for that 4th spot. Azukama,
I think Braxton takes the returner spot. Yeah. And then in a perfect world, Azukama becomes Trent Sherfield for you.
Correct. Perfect. That's fair. You know? And that's probably why you let Trent Sherfield go, because you need Azukama to fill that role. He has to. You got to give him the opportunity. And so that you're right. That'll probably be your 4 and 5 in whatever perspective it is. And then maybe River Craycraft or an undrafted free agent fills the 6th spot. So maybe receiver isn't a need, but
or Braylon Sanders. Let's not forget about Braylon.
Yes. Maybe it's a Braylon Sanders, Braylon Sanders, River Craycraft, and an undrafted free agent who somebody.
And by the way, these crazy bastards are gonna get an undrafted kid that we're gonna freak out on.
Yeah, that's what I was like. Dolphins fans are gonna anoint him as the second coming, of
we had Cater Kohu on yesterday. I mean, you know, give me a break, dude. You know, it's like, hey, who's this True Williams guy? Who's this Nick Needham guy? Who's this?
Although I will say, Josh Boyer used to be the champion of the undrafted cornerback becoming a player. You no longer have Josh Boyer anymore, for better or for worse. And so you'll have to find somebody else to find the undrafted gems at cornerback.
Well, let's see what happens. Let's see if they're able to do it. All right, follow him on Twitter at Cameron Wolfe and catch his work there at the NFL Network, and of course twice a week here with the KSDT CPA Sports. Miami Dolphins and NFL Report. Cam, as always, thank you, my friend. Appreciate you immensely.
All right, thanks, man. Have a good one.
Thank you, sir. There you go. KSDT CPAs will be there on Friday. 305-670-3370. Your business taxes. You need an extension now? Let's go. Call them. You might be a little late there, but they'll get it for you. They'll get it done. We got offices in Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach counties. They are dominant, baby. Top 200 in the country by Forbes. Come on. Forensic accounting, business valuation, management advisory services, healthcare advisory, property management, wealth management, valuation, domestic and international tax, They do it all. Personal taxes. Listen, folks, call them. You see the what's that thing called that we got there on the board that you can scan it and get your taxes done, man. Reach out to the people at KSDT CPAs. Put your phone there, right there on the screen, and you can, whatever the hell that thing is called. What is that thing called, bro? Now I'm brain farting on that thingamajig there on the screen. So you can hook up with KSDT CPAs right now anywhere in South Florida. What?
QR code.
There you go, the QR code. Scan that QR code, baby. And reach out to our great people at KSDT CPAs. The Wolf Pack has been unleashed.
This is the Big O Show. This is the